Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in this week's video I'm back in my spiritual home of the Lake District, and I want to talk about two winter walks that I recently did and sort of detailing them and how they went and any sort of recommendations that I would make. The first one is an ascent up Glaramara and the other one is Seathwaite Fell, and a quick disclaimer, they are both there and back walks rather than round routes, just because of the conditions that I was walking in. But although I don't tend to like routes that go there and back the same way, I found these two actually they were really beautiful going up and down, and definitely saw different things, so it didn't feel as repetitive, and given the conditions it was the best decision to take. So I was recently in Seatoller in Borrowdale, staying in a farm cottage really near to Seatoller car park, which also has some toilets, and the 78 bus that runs all year terminates there and does quite an impressive turnaround for a double-decker, and also the 77 and the 77A stop there during the summer months, so it's quite an accessible spot really to start quite a few walks. And we essentially, because we were staying right next to the car park, we sort of used that as like the beginning of our walk. So we took the footpath that goes behind Glaramara Hotel rather than walking on the road, and this does eventually bring you out to the same point, and it's I guess just a way of cutting out walking on the road. You then cross the main road and there is a handy sign down a little lane that sort of points you up to Glaramara the top, which is quite useful. And so we started the ascent there, and there were some amazing views actually of Castle Crag, Keswick, and the weather was such that the clouds were quite low, so it looked quite mysterious and very wintry. Footpath ascends towards Coombe Gill and Seathwaite Fell, and this continues up until a point where there is two options. You can take the marked footpath on the map, which is quite steep and goes up more of a craggy face, and when I was reading about it, the man who had sort of documented his experience had said that his dog struggled to get up the footpath, and so I felt like in this situation I'll probably be the dog, given the sort of more icier conditions that we had. So I decided to use the track which goes around instead of directly up. So the track weaves its way around and takes in some really fantastic views of Helvellyn if you have a clear day, and also Great Gable. We were lucky enough to have snow on the tops of these, so it felt really wintry and almost as if they were Christmas cakes with the icing on top, which was really enjoyable and definitely very satisfactory as the higher you get. The views were really rewarding. The top of Raven Crag, the path does get quite undistinguished and it is clearly quite boggy, so similarly to when I did the walk from Seathwaite, this is definitely better in winter if the ground is hard and frosted, as it was on our walk, as it allowed us to not seamlessly but with more ease to walk over the boggier sections, which was really helpful as we made our way to the summit. The final crux of the ascent is quite a steep scramble, and at the time when we had done it there was quite a lot of water which had frozen, so although the scramble is very doable given the conditions and that we were slightly clock watching, we knew that we were going to have to scramble up to get to the top and then scramble back down again to come back the same way. So we felt that it just wasn't really worthwhile, and some people might think, oh my goodness, you were so close, but given the time and given the weather we thought it was just best to get on, considering it was just to say that we were on the top. And we felt like we had the views that we were going to have, but maybe just slightly lower down. So I had some lunch and a nice tea, looking out over Great Gable and towards the Central Fells with the Eastern Fells behind us, and it really did have some great views, and it is definitely one that I would like to go back to because it was slightly quieter than I was expecting. I think we might have seen only 1 or 2 people. I guess granted this was midweek and in sort of like winter, but we did another walk which I'll go on to up Seathwaite Fell, and we definitely saw a lot more people. This walk in total was about 12 kilometres and it took us 6 hours, including breaks and stopping for lunch. And it's definitely one that I would really want to go back again, potentially in spring or summer, but definitely after a dry spell rather than if it's been really wet. Our second walk was up Seathwaite Fell, and we had originally planned to go up the west side and down the east side in a circular route, but due to the weather conditions and then it was very, very icy, and the east side had was crisscrossing with a stream which would have been quite frozen over and slippy, we decided to go up the west side and back down the west side, and this meant in total that it was about 18 kilometres and 7 hours and 15 minutes, including break times as well. And the walk begins on what is essentially a bridle way. It's quite a main path really that takes you up. This path leads up Styhead Gill to Styhead Tarn, which is a really beautiful spot actually, and quite a main walking junction for a lot of different paths, going up to Scarfell Pike, Great Gable, via Windy Gap, Seathwaite Fell, and also sort of dipping back down into like Ennerdale area as well. The Mountain Rescue do also have a stretcher base there, so it's clearly quite a main spot for a lot of different walks, but the tarn there is really beautiful, and by the time that we got there it was very cold, so we didn't stay for too long, but I can imagine in the summer it's really nice to just sit there and take it all in, because you feel you've got this sort of amazing vista of the mountains behind you, and as you've walked quite a long way up the valley you do feel that you're really far away, but without having to actually summit a mountain for views, you're really like in the thick of it. So at this point we then started to head up to Seathwaite Fell under the shadow of Great End. We managed to get to the top of Seathwaite Fell, but I think next time I would try heading up a faint track near Arran Crag, and this would save walking all the way up to Styhead Tarn to then to start climbing up Seathwaite Fell. And we both don't really like descending like very much. We prefer ascending. So given again the icy conditions, we decided to do the route back what we had done up, just because we'd known what it was. But I do think doing the full route is very doable given the better conditions. Once we got down back towards Seathwaite Farm, we had a little tea break at Stockley Bridge, which is a beautiful wild swimming spot, I think, where you can just sort of have a dip in the summer, but it was really nice to sit there, and the bridge is very beautifully constructed and the water is also very clear, and it makes a lovely sound as you're sort of taking in your last moments before heading back to the car. So I've put both of the routes into the description box below if you wanted to check them out in any more detail. And I have another one of these videos coming set in North Wales in Eryri, where I was over the Christmas break, and I hope to see you very soon. Thank you for watching. If you could subscribe, that would be amazing, and I look forward to seeing you very soon.